Hi, I'm Kevin Hill, and today we're going to do a beautiful painting of a mountain, maybe a little meadow in the foreground and some flowers and details. Should be fun. If you're looking forward to seeing this and you'd like to see more, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more painting videos. Alright, let's get started. There, I just finished up scrubbing on a little bit of clear gel and white just to the top of the canvas, that's all. Nothing too crazy. Now let's take a little bit of blue and a little bit of red. For some reason my green is dripping. There. Take a little white. I'm just looking for kind of almost a stormy look, but not too stormy. I don't know. Put it up on the canvas here, see if you even like it. I kind of like that. Let's go with that. Let's go with that. We'll run that across and then drop down using overlapping strokes here. This is the best way to get it blended, I'd say. There we go. A little more paint. I'm just going to darken the corner. Now, honestly, you may need to wipe. I did put a little clear gel even over here, and I'm going to have a big mountain. That big mountain almost is like somewhere in here. So, you know, it doesn't hurt to have blue across it, but we may need to wipe that area out. There, that's good. Probably just one cloud today. One or two clouds. Now, because our mountain is so large today, I'm going to stick in a lot of the color here with the 2-inch brush. And it's actually the same as the sky, just a little more red instead of blue. And it kind of gives me a nice purple. And that's about it. I will not, however, do the outline with this brush because it's too big to do a very interesting outline with. It's way better to get a smaller brush to do that. And so that's what we're going to do. Make sure it's got enough paint there at the top. We will probably end up having to wipe this canvas off, but at least I want to get the color in. Now, coming down, I may grab just a little umber in that and place a little of that umber kind of here toward the bottom of the mountain, which should be nice. Yeah, that kind of makes it a little warmer, which I think really works. Very good. A little blue and a little red. Nice. So now I'm going to scrub in a cloud up here. And this is just kind of coming from around the mountain, which I think really works. This is kind of a simple cloud, actually. There's not a whole lot to it, but we'll just do a quick scrubbing with the filbert brush. It's probably about all it's going to take. It's nice, isn't it? Just white, because it's going to mix here with the paint that's on the canvas and just give me a decent amount of variation. You know, you could certainly build in all this variation if you want to, but why would you want to? This is too easy. There, that looks good. That looks good. I think we can work with that. Now, as funny as it sounds, I'm going to go ahead and skip to painting trees. I know mountain's not done, but I just think that this is going to work out for the better, and here's why. Because this way what I can do is, because I'm going to have a lot of trees here, I can place the trees around the mountain and then spend, you know, the majority of the time that I would on the mountain, you know, spend it where it counts, where you're going to see it. I think that makes sense. So, with that being said, let's just start out painting some trees. These are fairly tall. Kind of just block them in here quickly and loosely with the filbert, and then I'll come back with a little round brush and just tidy them up a little. You know, make them look a little better. There. I think we can work with that. Very good. Yeah, that looks good. Nice. Bring out some fairly large branches. I think that works. All right, looking good. Come down to, we should probably put a sketch in real quick, but probably come down to about here, do some rocks. We'll sketch in more of these rocks here, but you know, some large rocks. Oh, I want my meadow filled with these rocks. I think we'll add a nice contrast and just some variation that we wouldn't have otherwise. It's more fun to do a meadow filled with rocks. There. Cool. And I just love, if you haven't seen the way I paint meadows, or not just me, but one of the ways that I like to paint them, so other people paint them the same way, is you'll slap all the colors in, and then you take the fan brush or something like that, and you can just raise them right out, raise all those details out. It's really cool. So I'm excited to see that. I think that'll contrast really well with the sharper angles of the rocks, you know, with this loose grass. Hope that makes sense. It was kind of a choppy explanation for something that really wasn't all that complicated. So now I'm going to take the little 3/4 flat brush and probably grab the 1/4-inch flat brush later, but for now, mix up just a nice A nice mountain highlight color because we're going to highlight the mountain. All right, right up here. There, that looks decent. Decent. I think we can work with that. Sometimes you don't know until you put it on the canvas. It's not always perfect. That's something about painting. It doesn't always come out right, and you sometimes have to change things, and that's okay. Good shadows, making, making a really nice, just overall feel, I think, to this mountain. Very geometric. And this is a good brush for that, because it's pretty sharp and chiseled, isn't it? I think that works. I think we can be pretty happy with that. Oh yeah. Maybe bring it over a little. I think that works. Bring it down. Very nice. Now we'll take a little bit of yellow and some green. White, of course. That helps to lighten it up. All right. Let's see here. I'm going to place some of this just like right here in the background. Nothing too crazy. Nice. Now, you guys have probably seen me do this before. It's a fun technique. You just place down the color kind of haphazardly, and then you get to fluff it and turn it into something that really looks nice. There we go. Yeah, I think we can work with that. It looks good. A little darker there on the edges. See, you can kind of plan out your colors that way. Not too much dark. Wipe out your brush if you need to reload with a brighter color. Good. Yeah, we can work with that. Put that in. just make a big mess and enjoy. Just have fun. Some pure yellow is okay. And some green, you know. Pure green, I mean. Some yellow ochre. There. So I've got a clean fan brush and a paper towel. I don't have my palette because I'm not really going to need it for this step. All right, let's try to make this look just slightly better. Now, if you like it like this, you could certainly leave it. Did anybody laugh? Nobody laughed. They were so freaked out that I said that. Here we go. We're going to just more or less stab it and kind of fluff it. Smaller in the back, larger in the front. Imagine that. Let me skip right down here to the bottom. I'll show you this. It's all pretty much the same. Look at these big chunks of yellow. You can certainly start with the darks. I prefer to start, and see how I'm wiping my brush all the time? I prefer to start with the lighter areas and then transition into the darker areas. I just find it a little easier. Yeah, that works. All right, looking good. Just fluff it. Give it a little movement, you know, with your different strokes. Nice. If you find yourself, you know, trying to spread it and it's not spreading very well, just put more paint on. That's all. Sometimes it's just a stain on the canvas and you need a little globbiness to work with. There. Fluff it back here. Just see that fluffing action makes a difference. However, this goes muddy extremely quick, like faster than anything else. This goes muddy. How do you avoid it? I know somebody's asking, how do you avoid it? Probably yelling at your screen. Here's how you avoid it. Wiping that brush constantly. What am I doing? About 2 inches, and then I stop and I reload it. Yeah, stop and wipe it. There. So 2 inches, stop and wipe. Makes a big difference. Let's see right here, maybe just hit that, see how it soften that edge, and then come back off. I'm wiping every time, just to try to soften that little edge there. So, and once you're done with this, you can come back with one more pass of dark or light, depending on what you need. And kind of create a little more detail that way, but I like it. I think this works. I think it's pretty. And honestly, it's fast. It's fast and it's fun. If you're ever doing a demonstration for somebody, this is a great way to do it because they look at you like you're crazy. And then, if you do it right, it's kind of a fun surprise. Now with a gray, it's almost black, but it's a little bit gray. I'm going to paint in some of these rocks. There, that looks like a rock, doesn't it? I guess we know where 2 of the rocks are going. I wonder where the rest are going to go. I guess we'll just sort of throw them in. Close your eyes and throw them in. You probably get a better result than trying to plan it all out. It's kind of sad, but it's true. It's true in just about everything with painting. I don't know if it's really sad. It sure is fun. But It's funny. Close your eyes, throw it in, and it almost always comes out better than if you plan it perfectly. Because we're just not able to, by where I mean me and everybody else I know, not able to perfectly plan out just these nature scenes. You know, things happen, and you have to adapt as you go. You can never plan it out perfectly. There, that looks pretty good. And that's great. That's the fun of painting. Wouldn't be any fun if you knew exactly where the destination was going to be. You might as well not go. I don't know where this destination necessarily always turns out, you know. It could be different than my sketch, than my plan. And that's wonderful. That is great. So be open to change and be flexible that way, you know. So anyway, that's that. We're just going to keep painting a few of these rocks in. Now I'm using a detail around here just to finish up. Actually, this is a brand new tree right up here, but just to finish up the edges of these trees. Now, as far as this one is concerned, I didn't really plan it to be there, but when I was wiping the canvas off earlier, I think I mushed this area, so I just covered it. You know what I mean? It works. Better than trying to get back in there and paint your sky in, you know? So anyway, it was a problem that we caused a little while ago. We're just now getting around to, but it doesn't matter. You can kind of leave things like that till a little further down the road. It doesn't really matter. All right, that looks good. Now, I've also got some shop towels down here. And if you're wondering why I've got the shop towels, well, welcome to the channel. You should definitely subscribe because we got a lot more shop towels coming. But yeah, anyway, we'll pull them off in a little bit. If you are new here, the reason is because I'm absorbing all of that loose oil paint that's sitting on top of the canvas. I'm absorbing it into the towels, and then I'm probably going to go have lunch and then come back and pull them off, and we'll have essentially a dry canvas that we can highlight on many, many times. And that's the way that you avoid mud when you're oil painting. Otherwise, your canvas has become a slippery, muddy mess. If you've painted at all, you know what I'm talking about. This is the trick to avoid that. So now it's been a little bit. I'm going to peel these off. And wow, look at that. Realistically, it was probably about an hour or more, which was kind of nice to be able to relax. Look at how sticky it is, though. I just feel like I'm going to take the canvas with it. That's really cool. So this is essentially dry for the most part. I mean, look, it is definitely still wet, but my point is, it's so thick, it's so glued on there that, watch this. We can take this is a little 1/4-inch flat, which is exactly the same as the 3/4 flat, except it's a 1/4 inch. Okay, that was a terrible explanation that never needed to happen. But anyway, you get the idea. That looks good. Now I can highlight. I would not have been able to highlight before. Well, I mean, I guess I could have highlighted, but it would have been a muddy mess. Nobody else wants to see a muddy mess. Nobody wants to see a muddy mess. So there you go. This feels almost exactly, truly it does feel exactly like a dry canvas. It's exciting. All right. So we'll spend just the next few minutes doing this. But because I put these rocks over what was already an incredibly thick oil paint, we had no choice but to do that absorbing of the loose oil on top. It's the only way this is going to ever work out. Just trust me, because I've tried it the other way. It doesn't work. So now with the fan brush, I've just loaded it here with a little green, little dark green. We can go ahead and drop in a shadow just by pushing down with the brush. If you recall, we did this before, but that's because we had the paint down on the canvas. Now that the paint is in the brush instead of on the canvas, it's better to push down like you see me doing here. This is better. All right. But it's actually a similar idea because you're still just using a small portion of the brush to move that paint. That works. You see, I placed just a few patches of snow, not a lot. If you do too much, it looks funny and you have to take it out. Just a little. And I'm using just a dark green for now because that helps to cast shadows from these rocks. But you can also clean it up, you know, in the front here with some light green, which you'll probably do in just a minute. There. Make sure you have your shadows and your highlights worked out, though, because it just does make things look better when you got all that correct. Or at least close to correct. Doesn't have to be perfect, but there. Maybe soften a couple of those. I'm just going to touch those rocks along the top there. Soften them. Good. That's all it takes. At this point, there's enough paint on the canvas where you just touch it and it disappears. There. Sometimes it works to your advantage. Not usually, though. There, that looks pretty good. A couple of little grassy bits along these rocks here in the middle. This is a very highlighted bright area, so be careful not to cast too many shadows. Just enough. There. Now I'm going to tap in some pure white, and I just got a little more out, put it somewhere else where it was, just a clean spot to work. And I'm going to make flowers. I'm going to make some beautiful flowers with this. I was actually really excited to do this. Still am. I'm excited. Try to say I'm excited to paint flowers because I think it's really going to add a lot to this scene. It's going to bring this meadow and kind of take it to the next level, I hope. It's the plan. I think it will. Looks good. Fan brush is a spectacular tool for this job because it flares out so nicely when you tap it pretty aggressively against the palette. There. And listen, as you get here in the foreground, you need to have some that are bigger, and then as you go back there, you kind of make them a little more small and a little more subtle, but you don't want to go crazy yet. I mean, we'll probably have some done with a detail brush, but I'm just trying to get some with this, so maybe not too crazy there in the foreground with these. There. Oh, that's nice. Not too many, but just enough. Just enough to really make it shine. I think it's shining. I see it. A few over here maybe. Yeah, not too many, but just some. And then of course we need some shadow. So let's get us a shadow color. This looks like there was just something already we could have used, but I mixed up with purple anyways, and we'll just hit a little bit of that here in the shadow just to indicate, a shadow flower. If that makes any sense. There. That's good enough. Good enough. Detail brush. Let me find one here. One that's ready to go. Clean. Actually, I'm just going to take white because it's going to mix with what I've got there on the canvas. I'm going to indicate very, very loosely just a few larger flowers. I'm not going to actually draw in the flower petals. I'm just going to touch to give myself larger shapes. And those shapes will, from a distance, look like flowers. When you get up close, you'll realize that they're just dots. And to me, that's a painting. You don't have to make them so perfect that when you go up, all you see is it still looks like a photo or something. You can do that. That's super cool. Not what I love to do. What I love to do, I want my paintings to somewhat fall apart when you get close to them. And you start to see the brush strokes. And you start to see how I painted it. But then when you stand back where you're looking, for instance, it just comes together. I love that about painting. That's just me. There's a lot of different ways to do it. Now I'm going to add an accent highlight. Let me show you my color. Just a little yellow, ochre, white kind of mix going on there. A little mud sneaks in there, that's fine. But the idea is you load, here's the trick, you load more paint than brush so that there's no bristles touching. There's just paint. The paint has no choice but to come off. So that helps a lot when it comes to doing this final accent highlight. Let's get a little more in. Yeah, I like that. I think each one that we accent highlight just pops. Nice. This is definitely the right tool for the job though, because it is easy to glop it on, which is exactly what we're doing. We're just glopping it on. Not too much on the edges because I want your eye to come in here toward the middle. I don't want your eye to go, ooh, look down here. No. We don't want to do that. We want to bring your eye, or your viewer's eye, if you're doing this painting, to the middle of the painting, so that their eye didn't fly off the edge and then onto something else. Let's face it, we jump onto something else so quick, so we don't want to promote it. There. That looks good. Just enough, I would say. Be careful over there. Don't want too much. Very, very nice. So now I'm finally onto these trees. Kind of left them to the end, also kind of forgot. A little bit of both. So we'll just finish them up using a fan brush. I know that's not normally the tool for the job, but it's quick. And I think I'm just going to throw some paint down on the canvas, and then I'll come back with a detail brush and make it detailed. There. That looks pretty good. And then, kind of same idea to the bigger tree, maybe not so much to some of the background trees. It just doesn't really matter. Just a few brush strokes. Then let me just show you real quick. We'll come in, if I can find some clean color here, we'll come in and just literally kind of touch up the edges of those branches. I don't care about the trees being too bright today because the interest is more down here. Now I'm going to finish up this painting with some liner brush work. It's always a good way to finish. And just like any other painting, let's just drop in a bunch of detail. Some days, I think I've said this before, maybe I haven't. No, I'm pretty sure I have. I don't know. Can you tell? It's the end of the painting. Anyway, what I was going to say, sometimes your painting looks really good before this. Sometimes it looks really marginal before this. And it's hard to even want to get the liner brush out. You're like, oh, it's just not looking right. But sometimes if you just stick with it, that liner brush will absolutely save the day. It just makes things come together. This is not one of those days, thankfully, because those days are a little hard sometimes. But I'm pleased with this. The liner brush is just going to take it and refine it a little more. Kind of take it to the next level. Looks good. I'm just using kind of a brown at this point just to push back some of these rocks. Another thing you can do with this, well, you got kind of a brown on there, is add a few more details here to the tree trunks. It's always a good thing. Just a little bright color there to kind of indicate a little highlight of those tree trunks. That looks good. Honestly, you can put as much time or as little time as you really want to into these liner brush details, but I will say spending a decent little bit of time is good. Definitely good, because it makes a difference. It makes your painting look better. There, you can really bring out the details. All right, well, I think we're done. I had a lot of fun. I hope you did too. Don't forget to check out our website, DVDs, and Brushline. Thanks for watching.